Welcome back to Powerboating Adventures with members of the Florida Powerboat Club. Stu Jones, FPC president, along with our producer Ryan McCoy. We have another Bahamas event. This time it's the July Bahamas Summer Fling, a new event that we've added to the schedule, a 4-day format, a lot better for a lot of people that don't have a full week to take off. And we're going to hit the most popular islands, including Bimini and Grand Bahama Island, so it's all right here. But before we get started, let's thank our sponsors. Our Florida Powerboat Club 2024 calendar year is sponsored by Mercury Racing and by these annual sponsors, including Cigarette Racing Team, Concept Boats, Cortez Cove Marina, Deep Impact Custom Boats, Fountain Power Boats, Midnight Express Boats, Marine Technology Inc., Myco Trailers, Nortec High Performance Boats, Performance Boat Center, SD Marine Group, and by Wozencraft Insurance and Finance. And it is a wonderful morning here. You can see the sun just came up. It's about 7 a.m., maybe just 6:45-ish, something like that. Bahia Mar in the background, that's where everybody is assembling and getting ready. So this is our standard takeoff point, and it works out really great because we can get in here and have hotel rooms at, about just over $200 a night, and docking here at this marina, which is managed by Suntex, of course, the beach right across the street. So a little bit of something for everybody here downtown Fort Lauderdale along the beach strip for the night before and preparation. So that's what we're doing here, and that's why it's worked out well. Of course, we had a mandatory captain's meeting on the night before departure, where we went over all of the important details of the Bahamas event. And for any of you who are looking at this aerial shot and saying this is strangely familiar to me, well, of course, it is the site of the annual Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show, which happens at the end of every October. Been running for 65 years, same number of years that your club president has been operating. And there it is, the Top Gun. Yes, she's going to make it back to the Bahamas this year. It's been a while since Flight 1130 has crossed the Gulf Stream to the Bahamas. A couple of center consoles and a Mystic Cat, as you can see once again. A nice variety of boats for this event. Smallest fleet ever that we've had in history, really. I don't remember ever taking 6 or 7 boats to the Bahamas, but I'm at the point in my life where I'm like, I just want to go, and if it's a small event and the club doesn't make much money on these small events, I don't care. I just want to go have fun, and I want to take my boating friends to the Bahamas and give them the experience that they very much deserve, and that's why they joined the Florida Powerboat Club in the first place. Simon, start your engine. All right. Sal, start your engines. Where's Bob? Start your engines. Oh, they're already running? We made it to July, and with the Florida Powerboat Club, that means time to go to the Bahamas again, second time now. Bahamas Summer Fling. Going to shorten things up just a little bit this time. 2 days in Bimini, 2 days at West End, Old Bahama Bay, and then back here to the mainland. So shorter trip, about half the mileage of a typical Nassau trip. We're going to do about 250 miles for this entire trip, and that means running around a little bit in Bimini as well. As far as the group, well, it's small. It's middle of July. A lot of our club members have gone home for the summer months. So we've only got 6 boats running today. We decided to put the Top Gun back out on the mission with those Mercury Racing 565s. We've got a couple of Nortecs. We've got a Fountain, and we've got a Mystic Cat with 500 Rs. So kind of an eclectic mix of boats, and of course people, as always, as we rejoin members of the Florida Powerboat Club for a summer of 2024, heading to the Bahamas on this beautiful Wednesday morning in Fort Lauderdale. Let's go! Well, I'm not looking at my clock right now, but I'm thinking that we probably cheated a little and pushed the departure a little later than normal, because if it really was about 6:45 and that's the normal intention, it would be a lot darker right now. And in fact, the sun would be just barely breaking horizon, but in fact, it's quite light. Past daybreak, as we normally plan on departure, to get those calm seas. But when the summer conditions are dominant, and the light winds and the calm seas as they are today, we tend to push the window a little bit later, let people sleep an extra 20 minutes and have a little more time dockside before we depart. So today we're not in a huge hurry, just because the conditions that we have are really very favorable for the crossing, and that's what we're really hoping for. Turning the corner now here into Port Everglades, as our helicopter has now arrived from Pompano Beach. So let's talk about today's course and our course guidelines. We're going to take the Port Everglades exit here and hook a hard right turn, as we always do, and run south down the coast. And once again, the reason for that, for those of you who are new to this format, is that we first of all want to make maximum use of our helicopter, and that is to run along the beach area and then keep him close to shore, so that when we do turn offshore, the pilot will not have to exceed his expectations as far as flying out into the Gulf Stream. So it's going to be easy peasy today. Conditions are ideal. We've got everybody bunched up. At least I see 4 of us. And we're going to try to maintain speeds that keep us together as a pack. Even though, like these Nortex and even my cigarette, we're very comfortable at around a 55 to 60 mile an hour cruise speed. Of course, some guys like the Cats are going to want to run a lot faster. That Mystic Cat can cruise all day at 80 to 90 miles per hour. But I think that Sal and really anybody that goes on these events needs to just say, listen, we're out here for a nice cruise to the Bahamas. This isn't a race. This is not a speed contest. Let's just get out there and manage our day of boating and make the very best of it and enjoy the day. And quite quickly, as soon as we turned from Port Everglades, we realized it was certainly bumpier than we thought. And that's typically the case, especially around the inlets where there's a lot of moving water. Tidal inlets will have a lot of current, and depending on what way the wind is blowing and which way the tide is going. And that's why you see, like at Hulliver Inlet, for example, can be really rough on certain days. And those are the conditions that create that. Well, it's Robert Berger now. He's going to be our first boat. This is Team Skater. No, it's not a Skater. It's a Nortec 390 Sport. He and his first mate riding today on their first Bahamas run with the club. I remember when Robert joined the club years ago when he had a Nortec 39 Super V. Had a lot of fun with that boat in the club, but has been enjoying this Nortec 390 Sport. It's powered by triple 350 Verados. And fun fact about this team, they could have trailered the boat over from Marco Island, but they didn't. They chose to go on their own bottom all the way around through the Keys and over to join us. And it's a boat that we've seen a lot on these poker runs over the years. Project Tenady is now Top Gun Flight 1130, and just to remind everybody why the name change, that's because of those new Mercury Racing 565s, which with 2 of them totals 1,130 horsepower. So where's all the graphics and the name on the boat? Well, we decided to clean the boat up. I took the graphics off, and my goal was to eventually rewrap the boat with the new Flight 1130 decals and graphics. So that was my plan, and by the time you see the boat again on the next run, well, she'll be completely redressed. And you can see the top is up too. Of course, for the Bahamas runs, I always have my Bimini top up in the summertime. And now you're going to see what it's like to be right in the cockpit with us in this Flight 1130 cigarette. There's Torrey Robeson riding alongside in his 39-foot cigarette Top Gun. And you can see from the splashes here from the GoPro that, yes, indeed, it is just a little sporty out here along these coastal waters as we head south to Miami. Simon Williams bringing this 38-foot Fountain center console, and Sal Olivia in his 40-foot Mystic Cat all-carbon layup Twin Mercury Racing 500Rs. And there's the view from the cockpit with me at the helm and Miss Jackie, my first mate, riding along. And today's motto is "Hold the handrail firmly," which is an appropriate expression coined by my good friend Ron Long several years ago on a Tampa poker run. And back in the chopper as we catch up with Simon Williams, First Mate D, and their crew on this 38-foot Fountain center console sponsored by Cortez Cove Marina in Bradenton, Florida. Of course, Simon and his crew there are Fountain dealers. You may remember from a year earlier we joined Simon and D on their Fountain 38 SCX demo. Was a great ride all the way to Nassau and back, but this is going to be a shorter run today. We're not going to Nassau, just to Bimini, which is going to be a hop, skip, and a jump. Looks like Simon's got the boat dialed in beautifully as he gets into this light chop. And now we're going to catch up with Sal Olivia in this Mystic cat. It's a C4000 Escape 2. Interestingly, that name, fun fact, it comes from his cigarette 42X that he owned years ago. That's where he got that X-SCAPE from New York originally. He just kept the name for the Mystic, and this is his first cat in a while, and it's the first time he's taken it on the Bahamas. He took delivery of the boat just a couple of months earlier. A Tampa Bay poker run in April was his very first poker run, and he seems to be really enjoying the new cat. And a little more chopper time here on the Flight 1130, back from a different angle this time, flying from the left side, something that we do for the Bahamas runs to catch the lighting. And special guests Frank Sheelan and First Mate Cassandra riding along with us today. They had a Sunseeker registered for the run and had a little trouble getting it ready, but I said, hey, just jump on board, let's go have some fun. And a great shot. Look at the lighting now coming in off the port side of the boat with that bright sun. Robert and Jane Berger from Marco Island in this Nortec 390 Sport. Robert's been a big help to us, especially just recently when we were in Naples. He helped some of our club members find some nice dining and restaurants in the Marco Island area. And one more time now with Team Cortez Cove, Simon Williams, First Mate D on this 38-foot fountain. And once again, you can see the sun just lighting up the side of the boat as they make their way southbound down towards Miami. In not long now, we're going to be making that turn and heading offshore with a straight shot for Bimini. I'm expecting it'll take us about an hour to cross over. Torrey Robeson now in his 39-foot cigarette Top Gun, and it is powered by Mercury Racing 700s. Team B First. Torrey is all the way from Minnesota, but he spends a lot of time in Miami. He's fallen in love with the Florida powerboating lifestyle. This is his third cigarette since he joined the club about 4 or 5 years ago, and by the time this video is aired, he's already found a new home for the boat. You just might see him running the Flight 1130 cigarette on some local poker runs here this spring. And it was nice to have Skip and Jessica McGee back. Not their first time doing a Bahamas run. Team Quarantined is a Nortec 390 Sport, Triple Mercury Racing 400Rs, and they did attend the Bahamas Poker Run just a few years back. So nice to see them returning, and they have got a boatload of fun. I think they have a total of about 11 or 12 people on board. A lot of kids. For me, that's fantastic. And it's one more time with Robert and Jane on Team Skater, a 390 Nortec. Remember, for those of you who are Nortec fans, we've got a Nortec Spring Rendezvous and an August Bahamas run for the Nortec owners coming up soon. And there's your money shot, guys, as we head off eastbound into the Gulf Stream. We have now taken our heading for Bimini, and we're going to say bye to the helicopter for the time being and just manage our speed and have a nice, comfortable cruise as we say farewell to Miami. And we're back on board Flight 1130, and now we're really just about a mile out as we head into the main channel. We're actually looking at South Bimini, but when we get up close to the harbor, we're going to make a hard left turn, and we're going to go into North Bimini, and you can see actually making that turn right now. The color of the water is absolutely magnificent, and you'll see that the moment you get in close to the beach here. But on South Bimini to the left, as you see it there, that's a Bimini Sands Resort, but we're going to North Bimini, and here we are at the Bimini Big Game Club, which is really a landmark destination for any boaters coming into Bimini, and it's an appropriate stopping point, and there's a lot of reasons why. Well, first of all, you don't need to have a reservation for a dock slip or for a room just to stop here. A lot of people come here for lunch, and a lot of incoming boats, as as they arrive in Bimini will use this checkpoint for customs clearance. You have both customs and immigration close by. In fact, customs is right here on property, and immigration is just a short walk, 2 or 3 minutes up the roadway. And a lot of us like to use this facility because you can see there's plenty of open docks, and once you do get cleared, there's no rush to take off and head out onto the waters. When you're here, enjoy the ambiance. Understand that the Bimini Bay Game Club has been here for probably a century or more, but has been very active serving the boating community for as long as I remember, with fishing tournaments and event manufacturer rendezvous or just weekend cruises from boating clubs all over South Florida. Remember now, it is a weekday, a Wednesday morning, so customs and immigration was a cinch. It was really quick for all of us, and we had time to go into the restaurant, relax, and have, for some of us, breakfast, for some of us, lunch. But the important message is that once you finish up here at the Bimini Bay Game Club, it's not time to head north and go up to the resort. It's time to turn right and go south, down to South Bimini or Honeymoon Harbor, or do anything here on these local waters around Bimini, because there's plenty to do. And remember, because it is Wednesday, there's not a lot of activity here. You can see how quiet or empty the marina is, and that's pretty much what you're going to see throughout the island and all of the area attractions for the next couple of days before we turn and head northbound to our next destination, which will be Grand Bahama Island. So continuing our day southbound, once again, that's South Bimini on the left side. They've got this beautiful beach, and there's a good shot of the Bimini Sands Resort. They have condos, like 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom condos there you can rent, and they normally have a fuel dock there. I don't know if it's been reopened. I think it is reopened at this time. But today's destination isn't very far. We're going to pass the southern tip of South Bimini, and then it's another 3 or 4 miles, and there she is in the distance, the landmark Sapona, the concrete shipwreck. So we're just going to run up alongside and pass the Sapona. It's not our intention to stay here today because we want to get over to Honeymoon Harbor and visit with the stingrays, but I wanted to show everybody where the Sapona is so that they had it in their GPS with their tracks, and they could easily come back here later in the day or maybe the next day on their own and get a jump on the group and maybe do some snorkeling there. It's nice to come out here earlier in the day when it's calm, because snorkeling around the Sapona shipwreck, you do generally want calm seas. If it's really bumpy and windy, it's hard to set your hook, and it's hard to swim into the belly of the ship. And I think that many of you have seen that in our videos before. In fact, our earlier presentation of the Bahamas poker run, we spent quite a bit of time here at the Sapona in really perfect conditions. So today, I would say it's not bad today. It's not ideal, but it's certainly doable. But remember a few key important safety points. One is try to anchor as close to the ship as possible, so that if you swing, you don't run into it, but you're close so it's easy to swim back and forth. And always try to anchor yourself down current. And that's because when you approach the ship swimming, you're going to be swimming against the current when you need your strength. And you go into the ship and do your snorkeling, and by the time you finish that whole exercise, you're tired, you're worn out. And you might only be 100 or a couple of 100 feet away, but you don't want to be swimming into the current to return to your boat safely. So you want to let the current bring you back to your boat. So that's why we do it that way. And that's again why I tell everybody to try to anchor as close to the ship as possible. Back on plane now as we head further south. It's only about another 3 or 4 miles down to Gun Cay. And Gun Cay is the home of Honeymoon Harbor, where our good friends, the stingrays, all live. And I know that they're sitting there on the beach waiting for us to get there right now, because they've become very accustomed to being fed by all of the boaters and tourists that show up here. And even though Gun Cay is part of the Cat Cay Island chain and is therefore a private island, they don't really give us a hard time. I think most boaters go up there, as long as you anchor off the beach and don't do any damage to the shoreline or the coral heads, and don't mess with Mother Nature. Just basically show up here and have a nice time, and leave it the way it was when you got here. Of course, if you want to feed the stingrays, that's fair game, and it's something we love to do. And you can see we've already got a small clan of stingrays showing up here, because I always send the head stingray an email a couple days before to tell them that we're coming. So Their reward for that to show up is about 10 pounds of squid, which is cut up nicely into small bite-sized pieces that we give everybody in solo cups, and everyone gets their turn, and we show everybody how to do it safely by kneeling in the water and not dancing on them, not jumping around and stepping on a stingray, but staying planted on your knees and let the stingrays come to you. Have your bait in your hand and just lightly release it as they come up, and their mouths are like little vacuum cleaners, and they'll just suck that bait right out of your fingers. No harm, no foul, no bites, no mess. Everybody's happy. Everybody has a stingray feeding experience, and they've got great stories to take home. And then there's this guy looming off in the distance, ready to come in and attack. No, he's just a nurse shark. He's harmless. But he's here for the fun too, and he likes the squid. He likes the bait, and he'll sneak in and try to get a bite of that every once in a while, but otherwise harmless. Size of the stingrays vary. They can be anywhere from a foot wide to 4 to 5 feet wide. We get some pretty big stingrays coming around, but as long as you follow the guidelines on how to feed them, they're docile creatures, and they're just happy to engage. Well, I would say that was a well-executed fun day, a great day of adventure with our crossing from Fort Lauderdale across the Gulf Stream. We got to Bimini safely. We cleared customs. We had a nice lunch. We got out to the honeymoon harbor. We fed the stingrays. God, you guys have checked off a lot of boxes today, and that's why I always say when you come to the Bahamas, remember, the motto is to seize the day, and that is to get out, enjoy what Bimini has to offer, like the honeymoon harbor and the stingray feeding and many other attractions. It's how you enjoy the true Bahamas experience. And we're now in day 2 of our 4-day adventure here in the Bahamas. The first 2 days in Bimini and the next 2 days on Grand Bahama Island. There's the Tropic Ocean Airways off in the distance. Looks like it just landed. And they do have daily service here from the mainland, from Fort Lauderdale and Miami, which arrives right here at Resorts World Hilton. And Resorts World casino is right there in the background. That big giant building is the casino. So you can see we've got rockstar dockage for our entire group here on these floating docks right along the front lines here. Hop, skip, and a jump to the front lobby where you can check into the hotel. And whenever we stay here, we always ask for the rooms that are on the lagoon side. So basically the lagoon is the marina. So it means you're facing east, and that way you're looking down on the pool. So this would be east side. Where'd all those boats come from? Oh, you know what? Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. The Concept boats have got their owner's annual poker run to Bimini, and it looks like a lot of them have just arrived, so we'll get a chance to hang out with those guys a little later. There's a closer shot of that Tropic Ocean Airways Cessna Caravan with the floats. It's a seaplane that we're very familiar with. We chartered one and took it to Harbor Island in the Bahamas earlier in the year. We had that episode right here on the YouTube channel. And I love this shot because it not only showcases Resorts World Bimini Hilton. Look at the ocean on the other side. Of course, that's the Atlantic looking westbound, and it looks like we've got fantastic conditions for our boating adventures today. And let's segue right to that adventure. The plan today is to go out and do some Sapona snorkeling as well as a beach hop. We're going to ride along with Simon Williams and his first mate Dee on this Fountain center console, 38-foot model with triple Mercury Racing 400Rs. A very familiar sight to me now that I've taken delivery of my Nortec with identical power. And this will give us an opportunity to ride along in the center console and not only enjoy boating with our friends here from Cortez Cove Marina, but also really just having a center console to go back and forth out to the Sapona shipwreck and then to the beach. Let's face it, guys, you know, it's a lot easier on a big center console like this than it is on a 38-foot cigarette Top Gun. So I was really appreciative to Simon and Dee for allowing us to ride along. Well, I see anchor lines out, so I'm pretty sure everybody is settled in now. And again, my first observation is that a lot of those boats off in the distance are way too far away from the ship. So my advice, when you're here at the Sapona, try to get much, much closer to the ship. It'll make it a lot easier to swim back and forth. We're going to let Tyler Jones showcase his flying skills here with the drone. So let's enjoy this segment from the Sapona Shipwreck in Bimini as we enjoy it with the members of the Florida Powerboat Club on this beautiful Thursday in July. And continuing our day, we've got a couple of stops planned, and it's about midday, so we're all starting to get hungry. So cruising back along the shoreline here of South Bimini, we're going to take a departure and stop over at a cool little place called CJ's. It's on the southern end of North Bimini. Here's the money shot, you can tell, and of course we're looking at South Bimini here straight ahead, and then to the left. That's where the southern tip of North Bimini Island, and as you turn now, you can see there's the big game club and blue water off in the background, and right there where you see those boats along the beach, along that beautiful stretch of beach, that is CJ's, and here we are. They have a great tiki bar on the beach where you can stop and get some local Bahamian fresh caught seafood. One of their favorites is the fried lobster tails. They're absolutely incredible. You could never do this with a really big group. If you show up here with 15 or 20 boats and 100 people, as long as you're willing to enjoy the day and not try to get any food, you're probably going to be okay. But when it's not so busy here on this, I guess it's Thursday now, you can get up to the tiki bar and order some food, and it's going to take you a good 45 minutes probably to get your order placed and delivered, but it's worth the wait. In the meantime, you're going to bask in the beach, along the beach, and enjoy the nice warm summer temperatures. The surf temperatures are up around high 80s or low 90s right now, so it's almost like having a bath. But look how insane this beach is. It's just absolutely gorgeous. A lot of rocky terrain here on the southern tip, but then as the rocks clear away, now you can see this nice stretch of soft sandy bottom. It's just fantastic on the feet. It's easy to anchor, and then you got your stern to the beach, guys. Remember, for those of you who are not regular boaters here to the Bahamas, you got to have that second anchor. So you can throw your big anchor, back the boat down, trim the motors up, and then throw your second anchor out. You can see where Simon's got his other anchor off to one side there. And that's going to keep the boat straight and pointed right at the beach. And that's how we like to set things up here for these little rendezvous. Today's going to be maybe an hour and a half here at CJ's, maybe two hours. And then we're going to head off to another destination, but certainly a great little piece of paradise that we all like to enjoy, and someplace that is very easy to visit and enjoy on an off day, like a weekday. But don't try to come here on a Saturday or a Sunday when there's 100 boats in Bimini. You won't get a good anchor spot, and you certainly won't get any food from the grill. And remember that our motto is seize the day, and that's exactly what we're doing, riding alongside Robert Berger and his 390 Nortec as we head now to the opposite side of the island. So we've gone all the way up to the north end of Bimini, and we've gone around the point. Now we're heading back down on the east side of the island, and here we are at this fantastic beach. And this is an area that we've showcased more recently in a lot of our videos. On our last event on the Bahamas Poker Run in June, we made a point of getting over here for the afternoon, and here we are again. So this is definitely, I think, a must-do if you're here in Bimini with a group of boats. You want to get over to this North Beach and really enjoy it. Well, that was special. What a great day so far. You know, it's late afternoon now. We still have more plans for the evening, but we'll jump back on the boats and head back to Resorts World Bimini, and it's going to take us back to the north end of Bimini, back around the point, and then southbound. And eventually we land here. That's right, back at Resorts World Bimini with their floating docks and that are pretty empty right now. But we've got one more night, or this is our final night now. It's going to be Thursday night. So we're going to enjoy Bimini for one more night, and hopefully some of us are going to get into town and try to visit some of those local restaurants that are in the village, because I think it's really worth the effort to make friends with the locals. They're all very friendly. We call them Biminites, but have some seafood pizza or buy a fresh loaf of Bimini bread. There's a lot to do in town. Get a golf cart and go have fun. And if you didn't notice the signs that say no swimming in the marina, well, this is why you don't want to swim in the marina. Those are bulls, and they are ready to feast. It's feeding time. Somebody cleaning the fish there and throwing it in. But yeah, this is just a common scene at most marinas throughout the Bahamas. So you can pretty much be sure that any marina that you're at, especially if there's fishermen present, there's going to be a lot of sharks milling around waiting for lunch. And I've always made my last stop after a great day on the water here at the Monkey Business Bar, which is also the adult pool on the 5th floor here at Resorts World Bimini. And this was what it looked like at about happy hour, somewhere around 4:30 p.m. And this is what it looked like about a half hour later. And for those of you who are not aware where all those people came from, well, if you watched our last episode, you'd know that that was the Concept Owners Run to Bimini. Is an annual event that they do. The factory operates for the owners of Concept Boats, and we were happy to be a part of that and got some great video. Day 2 in the bag. We checked off a lot of boxes, guys. We still have 2 more days ahead of us, but we're going to be wrapping it up here in Bimini, our final night, and hitting the waterways tomorrow for Grand Bahama Island. Friday morning now, as we plan our departure to Grand Bahama Island, just got this shot over the balcony, and just to prove once again that Concept really put on a great show. Well, look at all those concepts. Concept there. There's a 36. There's another 36. I think that was a 39. Another 36. Wow. Altogether about 20 concepts present here at Resorts World Bimini, and they're here for the entire weekend. And for the Nada concepts, that's right, the cigarettes, there's my 38 Top Gun and Tori's 39. We've got the girls ready for a ride today. We're going to depart on this 72-mile course as we head up to Grand Bahama Island. Say hi to Skip and Melissa McGee and their crew on this Nortec 390 Sport. Look at, they got the beanbag chairs. Guys, if you have kids, get the beanbag chairs. Everybody loves a beanbag. We got one Nortec with very quiet Verados getting ready to go. Everybody ready for a good ride?
We are.
Okay. I think we're going to have some good conditions crossing today. I know the ladies are happy to hear that. And Simon was happy to report that he was all fueled up for the ride after having a few problems with his credit card working. But yeah, that's the 38 Fountain. They're ready to roll. And I think everybody's, yes, here we go. We're back out on the waterways. And once again, 72 miles is my closest estimate. Once you get out of Bimini and take a heading, we're going to be pointing the boats straight at West End, which is the site of Old Bahama Bay. That's our destination. And if you think it was quiet here in Bimini, well, wait till we get to Old Bahama Bay, because it's going to be even quieter, a much smaller place. But we're not going to lose sight of our motto, and that is the seas today. So when we get to West End, we'll still have activities to local attractions, which typically is going to take us to the Grand Lucayan Waterway in Port Lucaya. So that's going to be on our agenda, and we'll, of course, cover that later in the show. Meanwhile, it's just getting out of Bimini and doing that long idle speed zone before we get back on plane. And we're going to be waving at a lot of boats that are arriving from Florida, from the mainland, as they come into Bimini Harbor for the weekend, as we continue our island hopping adventures with the Florida Powerboat Club. And we have made our way out of Bimini Harbor, now going to be turning and heading northbound. The ride today, as I said earlier, a little over 70 miles. We're just going to maintain the pace, try to keep everybody together, and enjoy the ride. Well, we're having a good ride on this Friday from Bimini to West End. It was exactly 70 miles on the GPS. Pretty tough beam sea because we got these southeasterly winds that are pushing the water. So it's kind of a quarter following sea, which isn't bad. Kind of hitting us on the right side a little bit. About a 2 to 3 foot continuous chop, but kind of fun, averaging about 45 to 48 miles per hour. All 6 boats spreading it out nicely. As far as the rest of the trip goes, only 20 miles to West End from here. It's a beautiful day otherwise. Certainly going to be enjoying our first drink and our first order of cracked conch on the beach at Old Bahama Bay. And we have now arrived, and it was about a 2-hour ride altogether, and now arriving at Old Bahama Bay, where they have a huge entrance to their harbor, very well protected. And we're going to be settling in here at Old Bahama Bay. Once again, another quiet marina that doesn't have a lot of activity here at the present time. Remember, we are in the early stages of July, when the boaters like to visit the Bahamas frequently, but remember now that these are the islands in the Bahamas that are less traveled, and you're going to see that over the next couple of days as we showcase West End and Grand Bahama Island in general, especially Port Lucaya. This is an island that really was at its height in the 90s with visitation by boaters, and very, very fun, festive environment. A lot of hotels fully operational. A lot of the marinas were sold out every weekend. And that vibe just completely changed in Grand Bahama towards the late 90s and early 2000s. We used to come here all the time with Florida Powerboat Club. And I think that the general interest by the boaters just kind of dropped off at some point. I can't tell you exactly when, or I can't tell you why. But we still kept coming, and I still love it. It's kind of, in many ways, very unspoiled still. A lot of these islands have not yet been developed. They've tried to develop them, as many of you have seen in some of my previous episodes. For example, right here at West End, you have the Gin-sur-Mer project that started in the early 2000s, and they moved a lot of dirt, and they excavated several acres of property for a huge resort, which was never completed. But Old Bahama Bay just maintained its charm and is still, in my opinion, the gem of West End. It's really the only place you can come here by boat and have good, safe docking and be able to get these nice villas on the beach at a decent price. So for me, I think that Old Bahama Bay checks off a lot of boxes, and at the same time is very different than what you'd expect in the Bahamas or a lot of the other islands in the Bahamas chain. But for us, this 2 days is going to be a combination of relaxed lounging on the beach with a frozen drink in your hand and a big boating day trip to Port Lucaya. And here's what it looks like at about 500 or 600 feet. You can see the entire west end. The village is way off in the distance. You can see the airstrip, which is a mile long, and then the Gin-sur-Mer project. And, of course, right in the foreground, Old Bahama Bay, and some nice real estate off to the right-hand side there. There's some really incredible homes on their private canals. So this little community really has something for everybody if you are a hardcore boater. This shot in the marina really sums it all up with that nice fleet of sport fishing vessels and then handful of high performance boats and cruisers. It really illustrates that it doesn't matter what kind of boat you have, that Old Bahama Bay and West End has something for everyone if you love the water. Day 4 and yet another beautiful day here in the Bahamas. It's early in the day. I'm not sure how early because I know Tyler doesn't get up that early. He likes to sleep in, but he's getting some nice drone of all the boats still covered up. Very peaceful here in the marina this morning. Remember now it's day 4, and you know that if you're here with me, we're going someplace. And I'll let you guys decide at the end of this segment that if you stayed back at the beach and you didn't go with us on this day trip to Port Lucaya, you'd be missing out on a lot of stuff. So here we go. Going to be taking the north side of Grand Bahama Island as we zoom in here on Team Cortez Cove, 38-foot fountain. And looks like Simon's got his headgear on today. He wants to stay out of the sun, not get too fried. I can totally get that. Tori and his crew are riding along with Robert Berger, so it was kind of cool that Robert and his wife extended their 39 Nortec for others to ride on board. And we totally get that Sal wants to play a little bit and do some high-speed flybys because, you know, if you have this amazing 4000 Mystic Cat, with twin 500Rs and we're all cruising at 45 or 50, sooner or later you're chomping at the bit and you want to let her rip. So I'm totally cool with that. All he did was just get up ahead of us for a little bit and then he'd back down or circle around. The total round trip mileage today is going to be somewhere around 80, a little more than 80 miles. The first half is about 25 miles offshore just on the north side of Grand Bahama. But eventually going to be finding our way into the Grand Lucayan Waterway, which will travel right through Grand Bahama Island. It's about 12 miles long from one end to the other. And here we are entering the north side of the Grand Lucayan Waterway. And it's important that we do stay in single file and just take our time going through here because as you're about to see, it's a very narrow waterway with, rock walls on both sides, and there's not a lot of room for error. You certainly can't pass. We actually like to take the boats one at a time on plane and let them go with the drone in hot pursuit and just get a few video clips of the boats as they start their way down through this waterway, which is going to have a lot of turns. You don't want to be traveling too fast, and of course you're looking down at your GPS as well. Remember, there's a lot of other canals that are veering off in different directions, so it's sometimes kind of easy to get confused and say, well, which way are we going when we get to the fork in the road? But if you watch your GPS closely, you'll see that these canals are clearly marked on the Garmin, and you won't have any trouble finding your way. Just stay in the center of the channel because you can see, look how shallow it is here on the left-hand side. Remember, we're at very low tide right now as Sal puts the Mystic Cat onto the course. And as I said, one by one, we'll just manage the ride and we'll catch everybody on the other end. And you want to ask now, why is this waterway here? What's it for? Well, it's actually part of a huge development that was created back in the 60s and the 70s when the Bahamians were really trying to develop this island, and there was a lot of international investment here. And their goal was, of course, to create a lot of casinos and a lot of commercial activity and really bring the tourists here into Grand Bahama Island. Well, that whole thing kind of fell apart in the late 70s when the Bahamians declared independence, and a lot of that foreign investment decided that they didn't want to hang around. So that left this entire Grand Lucayan Waterway undeveloped, with miles and miles of carved waterways. The section that we're in now is at the north end of the waterway. It's not very developed at all, but it is a canal that was man-made that essentially connected the south side of Grand Bahama Island to the north side. So it's the only passageway that allows boaters to transit through the island, and this is critical if you're navigating around Grand Bahama Island, because it's one of the biggest islands in the Bahamas. It's over 100 miles from one end to the other end of the island, and you can only get around on the end. So this canal system in the center of the island was very, very helpful, and to this day offers safe transit for recreational boaters who are circumnavigating the Bahamas, allowing them to get from Port Lucaya through the island up to the north side into the Sea of Abaco, so they can continue their trip to the Abaco Islands. Here we are now at Peterson's Key, and this was by design, was part of our agenda today. And altogether only 3 boats came out because we left both cigarettes back at the dock and climbed on with the other center console owners. And of course Sal wanted to go for a rip in the cat. So here we are at Peterson's Key, which is a giant coral head, for lack of a better description, but really just coral in all directions. So you got to be kind of careful when you come in here and throw an anchor. A very hard, gritty bottom, not a lot of nice soft sand like we're accustomed to. But the reason we come here is because off to the east end of the key is some beautiful coral reefs and a lot of marine wildlife and fish. So in fact, this entire island, if you had the time and you had your fins and your face mask, you could go right around the island and you'd see all kinds of marine life in all directions. A little bit bumpy today. You can see we're protected on the lee side of Peterson's Key, so it's not so bad where we are. And if you get adventurous and you want to wander up onto the beach, it's fine, but you might want to wear some little booties or socks or something to protect your feet from the sharp edges of the coral. Now, it had been several years since we had visited Peterson's Key. It has a lot to do with the hurricane Dorian that crushed the Bahamas back in 2019. Of course, COVID hit in 2020. The Bahamas was closed to tourism for at least 2, almost 3 years. So there hasn't been a lot of activity here, but I got up on the island and I checked out the coral, and this is also a bird sanctuary, so you don't really want to be climbing or walking across the uplands here. The birds don't like it at all. So, but it was kind of cool to revisit Peterson's Key and brought back a lot of old memories. And riding on board with Sal now, I'm glad Tyler was on board because he got some great GoPro shots. But now we've left Peterson's Key and we're on our way to Port Lucaya Marina. This is coming in the Bell Channel, which is one of your few entry points to get into Port Lucaya Marina. And this is our destination for the afternoon. It's Grand Bahama Yacht Club at Port Lucaya. It's one of the longest running and the most active marinas, with lodging and yacht club atmosphere, with a pool and a nice restaurant there by the water. So it's an ideal destination for day trippers that just want to come in and have lunch and enjoy the pool. And a lot of people come here and spend days or weeks at a time, and they stay in the marina on their own boats. They do have a great clubhouse and a private venue for doing parties, but unfortunately there's no lodging or hotels on property, but that is satisfied by getting on the ferry boat and going right across to that resort, which is the Pelican Bay. And they have, all kinds of rooms available, as well as this resort that we also visited. So there's a couple of places that you can stay close by that have an abundance of hotel rooms to offer. This drone shot here really shows you just how magnificent this island is. We cruised on these backwaters as well, and there's really just a lot of nice homes and real estate to see. And it appears there's a few construction projects and some new development in sight. So I think that's hopeful as we look forward to the future for Port Lucaya, to see it come back and be a popular destination for boaters. And of course, one of the attractions here at Grand Bahama Yacht Club, they got gas. Time to roll. It looks like Sal and his crew decided to go back on the Grand Lucayan Waterway. I don't blame them. The nice smooth ride all the way back, and he can hot rod all the way home. For the rest of us, we went on the south side of Grand Bahama Island. It was about a 35-mile ride back, and here we are arriving back at West End for our final night at Old Bahama Bay. I'd say that we checked off another box with our Port Lucaya day trip through the Grand Lucayan Waterway, back here now at Old Bahama Bay. And the weather continues to hold, not a single stitch of rain. We've got one more night here. What are we going to do? I'm wondering, is there anything to do around here? Oh, you betcha. It's Junkanoo night. Saturday night in the Bahamas is a time for Junkanoo. Well, just when you thought the party was over, Tyler found another battery in his drone. And here we got, a pot of dolphins out enjoying the waterfront here at Old Bahama Bay. One of the many sightseeing visuals that you're probably not going to see without the drone. So I think it kind of worked out that he pulled the battery out just here close to sunset. I think it's feeding time for the dolphins right now. But I think that you guys really like this shot because we spent a lot of time over in the marina earlier, but now you can see these colorful villas. Let me talk about them because they're really quite nicely set up. And there's no two that are the same. They're all different colors. So once you know your color, it's easy to find your way home late at night after a couple of drinks. But here's their little beach bar where we hung out quite a bit. You can see how pristine and beautiful the beaches are. Soft, sandy beaches, and just a fantastic place to hang out for hours at a time. As we now come close to the sunset hour, looking to the west now, And it looks like there's a sport fish just making its way back into the harbor now to finish off a great day of boating. But that's 4 days now you guys have enjoyed, and I kind of lied when I said it was a 4-day event, because technically we're still in the Bahamas and we got to go home tomorrow. So I guess you could say it's a 5-day event. I tricked everybody. But I would say that day 4 was just every bit as adventurous as the 3 days that preceded it. And that's good, because that means I did my job. Guys, when you come on an event with me, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to send you home with a lot of fantastic memories. And if I can do that, then I've done my job and everyone goes home happy. And it is sunrise, the sun out to the east there, early on the next would be Sunday morning as we prepare for departure. And we had a handful of boats that were going to get a head start. There goes Robert Berger and his crew on the Nortec 390. And it's common for us to break things up a little bit for the run back. A lot of people like to get an early start. Some people like to run back at their own pace, while others like to sleep in and then have breakfast and take their time. Looks like Tory Robeson, Team B first, and his crew are going to take a straight shot. They're heading back to Hullover Inlet, and the boat is going to be returned to T&T Marine Center. But the rest of us are just kind of getting our program together. And we say goodbye to Tory and his crew. I believe it's exactly 100 miles from inlet to inlet for them today. For the rest of us, it's going to be a little bit shorter, about 90 miles to Fort Lauderdale and about 85 miles to the Hillsborough Inlet in Pompano Beach. And meanwhile, for the sake of those of you who really want to know more and explore more on this island, as I often do, I got a bicycle and rode around the island. This resort is on the backside of Grand Bahama Island at West End. It can be rented. It's a magnificent resort that I think will accommodate about 12 couples or maybe 10 couples. But anyway, you'll find it if you Google luxury lodging or vacation rentals at Old Bahama Bay. That property will pop up, as well as many others. But I want to show you some of the homes and some of the lots. A lot of this was slated for development back about 25 years ago. The Pine Island residences, those are the ones that are behind the gate. But these other homes on the island are all beautiful. They're all big 2-story homes. Most of them are 3,000, 4,000 square feet. Some of them are 6 to 7. You can rent a home for a few days or a week or longer. And what's great about most of them, they're all on the water. They all have their own dock and nice driveways and everything. Some of them come with cars or golf carts or motorbikes or scooters. Well, we had a wonderful 4 days on the Bahama Triangle run, I call it now. 2 days in Bimini, 2 days in West End with a fun run to Port Lucaya yesterday. 11 a.m. now on Sunday morning. Looks like a pretty nice day today, light winds as we head westbound back to Port Everglades. 80-mile trip here from inlet to inlet, down to 3 boats from 6 now. The cat just left earlier in the day, the cigarette, and one of the Nortecs pulled out. But a nice time here at Old Bahama Bay. 80 miles ahead of us, and which should be a pretty uneventful ride, other than maybe we catch up with a whale or something cool, hopefully. But otherwise, looking forward to a safe trip back here with the Florida Powerboat Club, wrapping up our July adventure here in the Bahamas, summer of 2024. Let's go.
Hey.
Well, as I just said, we're always looking for something cool on the way back, and we didn't see any whales, but we did see this ship, and it looked kind of unusual to me with a very strange looking cargo. So my curiosity got me, and I decided to pull up alongside. Well, look at that. It's a ship full of wind turbine blades. Those big long blades have got to be at least a couple of 100 feet long each, and there's a whole ship load full of them heading southbound in the shipping channel. So hey, that was our experience for looking for something cool right out in the middle of the Gulf Stream. And now let's look for shoreline and Hillsborough Inlet. And I can see a couple of big skyscrapers off in the distance. That would be at about the 20-mile mark when you can start to see big buildings. So we don't have far to go. Well, I'd say it was a fantastic 5 days of boating, and I will begin by thanking Mercury Racing for the spectacular pair of Mercury Racing 565 stern drives. They did the job, got us home safely. And speaking of home, that's it. That's our home inlet, Hillsborough Inlet. A lot of activity here on a nice Sunday. The weather's still holding out great. Special thanks to Frank Sheelan and his first mate Cassandra for joining us on the run. And I would have to say that that was our smallest event ever in terms of the number of boats participating, but yet the most fun-filled, action-packed 4 days that I think we've ever spent. Well, that makes it a wrap for the July summer fling, and now we have got more Bahamas just around the corner with the August Northern Bahamas Island Hop, where we will once again revisit West End and Grand Bahama and then continue on through the Sea of Abaco, visiting all the best islands, including Spanish Key, Great Guana Key, and of course the lovely Hopetown on Elbow Key as part of our adventure. So guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. We want to thank our worldwide audience for supporting our YouTube channel and for sharing your wonderful comments. We are now well over 40,000 subscribers and shooting for 50,000, so please help us achieve that goal by subscribing to the channel and sharing these episodes with your friends, family, and co-workers. For more information about club membership and upcoming events, visit our website at flpowerboat.com, and you can find more content on our many social media platforms. Thanks for watching, and make boating safety a top priority by always wearing your life jackets. Bye for now.